What is going on, guys? It's MrVerry here, and the Tibia videos are finally back. I've had a couple of you guys asking me what's been going on and where I've been and stuff, and yeah, so you guys know I have been taking a short break, or you probably didn't know that, but perhaps maybe now you know. And yeah, but I am back. There are gonna be some more videos, and I'm gonna try to keep up with them. Um, I needed a little break, honestly. Just, I still have been having a bit of a hard time. And we get size on our first one, so that's actually pretty nice. And the silencer was on me, but I think it's on him now, so hopefully it doesn't lower my magic level quite as much as it was. At least, hopefully. And, see if we can blast through this thing. Yep, now that it's on him, it's really not doing much to my magic level. So it's actually a lot better for me to bring a knight here, it would appear, just strictly for that reason alone. Um, ooh, 3 Frazzle Maws. That's actually a little rough. So I'm gonna Rage of the Skies to try to kind of help him out with that. And also 4. So definitely trying to give him as much support as possible with that amount. That's a little hectic for sure, but we're doing pretty well. And I haven't really introduced Raven yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Raven has been a pretty decent friend of mine for quite some time now, and actually, we played on the same server, and we never had encountered one another up until he had gotten a hold of me one day and let me know that he liked what I was doing with my channel. And he's actually a very active member of the community, and our guilds just recently merged, which is something else I wanted to mention because that's pretty cool and, new. But, yeah, so our guilds were Crossfire and Impervious, and we got rid of the people who weren't really active and they made a new guild. And basically the reason for this is simply because they were merging. We were merging the. I wasn't really involved in the process. That's why I'm kind of going back and forth as far as who I'm referring to, but it was just because we wanted to get all the English players together in a single group. So this is where I'd camped originally, but I figured I would give you guys some new scenery, and we're also gonna take this little deposit, and we get some more gravel, so that's good. And he gets it bleeding immediately. And yeah, you can really see the difference when I've got a knight with me. I'm actually dealing pretty adequate damage. It's still a little lower some of the time, but it's not nearly as bad as before. And I don't have to worry about healing myself enough, which takes a little bit of worry off me because they do deal some pretty insane damage. And he lines him up for me so I can beam, which is quite nice. And I need to heal up, actually. I wasn't paying as much attention as I should be. I'm really enjoying having a blocker. And we use SDs on the Frazzle Maws because they actually are pretty susceptible to SDs and actually take a good amount of damage. So, and 2 silencers, so that's fun. And unfortunately, he moved right as I used my wave. But that shouldn't be too much of a problem. And I'm going to have to use my wave again here, or my beam. That was a wave, actually. Wow. Yeah, you guys can tell I'm a little rusty, and I don't know if I said this already, but this is going to be Grindfest. So, just because I've already done some Life of Adronus videos, and I've shown how to do what we're about to do. So to me, it doesn't really make sense to include it in that, because that's whenever I'm trying to introduce things I haven't already introduced on my channel, that's what I try to do. So down here is actually going to be a little crazy, but if we take the north side, then we'll be safer because only a couple can hit us. So that's why we're going to do that. It's basically just going to give us a little advantage. And boy, is it nice to see my SDs actually doing adequate damage. And I'm actually going to go ahead and throw my spellbook on, since I've got a knight with me. And we got to take out this Frazzle Maw before we move any further, just as we do not want that to be roaming around up here with all the other creatures that will most likely spawn. And you can see the loot is pretty decent. We've only gotten this one size, so and I'm going to check to see if I have some UHs on me. And because I'm not sure if I brought any, and I didn't. So that's kind of a fail on my part, but it's been a while since I've actually hunted with someone else, so and he said to M-wall, and I actually don't have and I know this is pretty ridiculous, but on my basic hotkey set, I don't have an M-wall hotkey, which I should, and I know that, and I know a lot of you are probably going to give me shit because I don't, but so I've got to hotkey that before we go to take that on, because that's going to be a little crazy, especially if I don't have that hotkeyed yet. So I'm going to do that. And I've only got 10, so I'm got to make them last. And we're going to switch up Shift F7 with that, and we're going to use that with crosshairs. So, but yeah, what have you guys been up to? Have you guys been moving forward, and have you guys moved forward in the quest? Let me know anything that you guys would like. As far as information on the quest, or any details you think that would be helpful, because I am going to be moving forward in it, and any information I can get with it is always nice. And unfortunately that M-wall just went down, but it looks like we have them about finished, so I'm not really too worried at this point. And the shock heads are actually pretty susceptible to my SDs. Shit. And I was trying to get an avalanche off to finish it, but that didn't look like it worked out so well. And since they're really susceptible to SDs, I'm just going to keep my wand on, because I don't really care too much if, you know, I don't do damage with that, since they take quite a bit of damage as it is. And we need to actually go back out to my rings. And that shock head is coming back, so I'm going to drop him with an SD real quick. And it seems like, I think the shock heads are the new mount, and they don't really seem to do too well on loot, which isn't crazy surprising. They're the new mount, of course. The mounts never really seem to do well on loot. If you can think of an exception, go ahead and correct me, but I personally can't, and I don't know if that's just my perception or what. And unfortunately we get a frazzle maw out of that one, so yeah, that's not very nice. And I just completely missed that. That's alright, we're going to finish that one up and focus on the next one. And wow, they do such outrageous damage with their beams and stuff. And he gives me the great mana pots. And I'm going to go ahead and use that. And unfortunately I get a frazzle maw. But I would like to let him use some of the gravel too. You know, obviously we're both here, so we should both be progressing on the quest. And unfortunately I pull a silencer on myself, and he pulls it off me pretty quickly, which is a good thing considering their horrible abilities to mages. And you can definitely see that in action with how low my damage is currently. But that's alright, still getting off some. Now it looks like my magic level is back up, getting some pretty decent hits off. And we get Terra legs out of the silencer, so I suppose that's not the worst thing in the world, right? And we get some gravel. So we're doing pretty good here, and it looks like there's something to the south, but I'm actually trying to head north, which probably wasn't the best of ideas. I should have kind of stuck to that area, but luckily we didn't get anything from there, so I can't really be too hard up about it. But I can definitely tell my magic level is reduced based on the damage and the amount I just healed for. So that's not really too fun. And wow, the shock heads actually do take damage to energy. For some reason I thought that they were either strong or immune, but I guess that's just a mistake on my part. And I'm gonna try to use this one, and luckily I produced some fine gravel. And I'm trying to sidestep, but wasn't having much luck with that. And it seems like I use far more mana potions than I do SDs here, so that's why I have a ton more mana potions than I do SDs. And I'm going to go ahead and use it, and luckily I don't spawn another one. It wouldn't have been too big of a deal, but it's still a tiny bit easier for us to handle them when it's only one at a time. And I'm really happy that the shock heads and the frazzle maws are actually pretty susceptible to death damage, because otherwise this would be a little more frustrating. I mean, the shock heads are still pretty terrible on loot, and I get the frazzle maw. So there's 3 stones that are really close here, and if you're able to clear this on your own, or you have one friend, it should be pretty easy to clear it and keep up with it. And I'm going to say hi to him. And we're going to go ahead and use this one, and unfortunately we do end up getting the unlucky Frazzlemaw. And it's actually, from what the statistics have shown, it's actually about 50% chance to get gravel and a 50% chance to get a Frazzlemaw. So it's pretty fair in that sense. And I get some gravel, so that's definitely good. And we're going to head back to the other rock, which is respawned. Yeah, so this is actually a really nice circle to do. And it's not too bad. Clearing it when you first go down, a little tricky. If I was by myself, the silencers would be the worst part, by far, definitely. But luckily I'm not, and I don't have to worry about their reducing my magic level, making my healing absolutely devastating quite as much. And get some more gravel. So we've actually done pretty well on that so far, and I'm pretty sure I've almost got a bucket filled. And just trying to use some spells to keep up with it, and that's the second gold ingot. And the loot here is just amazing. We've been doing really well with it so far. And luckily my magic level is still, well, it may have been full powered, but I'm not sure that it is anymore. It's got to be close at least. So really not too big of a deal. And he gets it straight in front of me, which lines me up for the beam. Very helpful. Unfortunately, it likes to beam back. So there's always that. And we'll finish him off, see what we got. Nothing too great out of those ones, but can't have it great every time, you know. And looks like these stones are both back, so that's cool. And I get some more fine gravel. And that's the bucket filled with chalk, so... And I definitely must be close to having one of fine gravel at least. At least one, I would hope. And I'm going to throw a life ring on just so it lasts for a while, and because it seems like I'm not really using quite as much mana as I thought I might be here, so... And hopefully I don't lure anything from going over east, but it doesn't really look like I'm going to. And this might be actually just a tad bit too slow, but that was only because I got 3 in a row that gave gravel. And these new creatures give bleeding statuses, so that's actually something kind of new for those of you who aren't familiar with it. And I get 2 silencers on me, which is really just a death wish for me. And I'm trying to not head too far that way, as I don't want another creature while we're dealing with these guys. And he's dealing some real heavy damage to him. I don't know if I'm dealing quite as much. I know when I'm not silenced, I probably deal a tiny bit more, but when I am, geez, it just... So, and now the rocks are going to have a little bit of time to catch up, mainly because of the fact that all these creatures have spawned, and I get off a E-wave, and luckily they start targeting him, which makes my job a little easier, as I don't have to worry quite as much about taking a heavy amount of damage. And I end up finishing off the Frazzlemaw, and it looks like my magic level is still reduced, so I think the shock heads reduced magic level too, because there was no silencer around. So that, I would really assume that's it. And we get some more fine gravel, more and more and more. And it looks like the Frazzlemaws are coming back to get a little bit of vengeance, as far as the fact that we got very lucky with them for a bit. Well, avoiding them rather. And we may have a shockhead on us too. And he just mentioned that the spawn density is insane, and he's actually very right about that. The spawn density here is pretty insane, and for those of you who don't know, what he's saying is the amount of creatures in such a small area. And he's certainly right about that. There is a bunch of them. So we're not getting great experience, but we're not here for experience, although we are on Grindfest. We're just trying to get some questing done. And we actually already have a bucket of that done. So I've got one bucket done, and I didn't even realize that. I feel kind of bad because I don't know how long I've had that one done. I felt like I did more than 10, but I wasn't sure, so. And I get some more mana potions, so I'm getting a pretty consistent amount. And the silencer, of course. So, and I don't know, oh, there it was. So I just got hit with a, pretty sure that was the magic level reducer. I'm not totally certain about that, but I'm hard pressed to think about what else it would be. And he steals mana as well, so that's always nice. And you actually get Inquisition Gold for getting kills on these guys too. So I'm going to let him go ahead and get some since I've already got a bucket. We're trying to alternate here. But like I said, I do feel kind of bad, but that's alright. Accidents happen. And I'm curious as to how many plats we've gotten already. 15.1k in plats already, so that's not bad. And he grabs the shockhead and the silencer, so that's very good. And they're in a perfect format for me to deal a good amount of damage to him, so that's what I'm going to keep doing. And the shockhead is down and onto the silencer. And unfortunately it's switching on me, but luckily I got my attacks off before he was able to do anything to my magic level. And I break that rock for him. And he gets some more fine gravel. So we've been getting overall quite lucky considering the 50% rate. Assuming that that rate is somewhat accurate. And wow, there is a ton on him. So I've got to get another wave up here, and once the shock head is low enough, I'm going to go ahead and rage, and I'm actually going to do that now. Unfortunately, they do run. Pesky little creatures they are. But we are able to finish it off and switch to the silencer, and it's just crazy. You know, you walk away from spawn for a second and all of a sudden there's just a ton of them. Definitely crazy. And it doesn't look like he got one out of that, so we're gonna, I don't know if he did. Actually, he must have, because there wasn't a Frazzle Maw. Haha. Yeah, should have known that, but hey. And this is actually going pretty well overall. I mean, we've gotten 8 items already, and most of the items they drop are actually worth, you know, at least 8k, other than the Terra Boots. Everything else is pretty handy though. So yeah, I'm definitely not upset about that. Not one bit. And we get some more gravel, so we're going to head over to the other one. And it's not quite done being produced yet, but looks like it's about to be. And I crush it, get some more gravel for him. So I think he's already halfway to getting a bucket filled. Which is pretty nice. It seems like we just get the spawn to hit us in waves. Just very significant waves. But luckily, between my waves and the occasional beam being properly lined up, it's actually not too bad. And yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm glad to be back. I know it's been a while, and I know that I mentioned that I have gotten a couple comments and stuff on my Google Plus and on my channel saying, where have I been? And like I said, I do apologize for my absence, but you guys know that I usually don't go more than a week without at least posting something. Um, I kind of have this one video a day thing, but I tend to release a bunch of videos at once. So I think it kind of makes up for it, although I know that you guys, actually someone has suggested that I release videos a little slower. And I might start doing that, like for instance, and we get an assassin dagger, which is 20k. Hey guys, MrVerry here. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, comment on this video with any feedback you may have for myself or Raven, and if you haven't already and you enjoy the content I produce, then subscribe to my channel so you get updated when I produce new content. Also, if you liked part 1, then you should definitely check out part 2 once it's uploaded. Thanks for watching, guys.